Maybe we can hear from Sinn Fein, who's got the number 2, it looks like, in the list. The Navigator. Peter.
Frank, I really think that you're doing a marvelous job in presenting the forum. I've been here on 3 or 4 of them. And I think this is the way that the race should be ended, where you can sit down, talk, as you said, peruse with friends, and kind of share some of the things you did and maybe should have done. Even though you're, I understand, a Connecticut Husky, and I'm a diehard Rutgers fan. So I'd like to introduce Kelly Robinson, Dr. Kelly Robinson from Rutgers. And he'll tell you a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the race.
Well, thank you. Pete is much too modest. Anybody who's been on Sinn Fein knows that Pete doesn't get told to go anywhere by anybody. But I'll do what I can here. You know, quite frankly, our approach ended up being, whoa, everything's moving. Pretty much the Jennifer Clark approach. Not quite what she called for. We came into the came into the upper eddy a little lower. Now, on the picture here, the dark red is actually a little off of position, and the real eddy was actually a little bit further over to the east. But we were not able to get in at the top where we wanted to be. Selke did a much better job at getting in than we did. They were able to point a lot higher. They didn't even have to tack. And we had one hell of a time getting into that thing, quite frankly. I got to tell you, the wind just did not cooperate. We did a lot of tacking back and forth trying to get into it. We did manage, when we were coming down, to finally get knocked enough to take a halfway favorable tack across, but then actually on the edge of the ring itself, getting into it was very difficult. We had a lot of debate about it on board if it was worth going that extra 10 miles at that point. And I guess this is where I'd comment on Frank's question about the altimeter data. You know, we had people on board saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I kept saying, well, you know, just a few more miles. We're almost there, we think. And as far as I can tell, that altimeter... Ugly. We went a long ways on starboard tack to finally get a decent slant over. And then we went right over until we got right on the edge of that ring. And then we just kept getting slammed, and it was ugly trying to get into it. Somebody else had a hand up in the back row, or no? Okay.
One more. How long were you on port tack?
How long were we on port tack going over?
Yeah.
I think it was about 25 miles. Is that right, Pete? Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry. Where we experience adverse current. Let me think.
How about leaving nuclear? Between there and the ring?
Not too much, really. I'm trying to think. You know, we got, you know, there were lots of little places here and there where we'd get, you know, a half a knot every once in a while just showing up. There was a spot, maybe other people had this too, there was a spot below the stream, a ways where we got favorable current of about a knot and a half, which we weren't really expecting. But
Just go.
no, it was above that.
It's above that.
Yeah. Frank was saying it was that other eddy, but it was above that we got some favorable current that we weren't really counting on. Last question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Did you wind up catching the adverse eddy just north of Bermuda, or were you far enough west?
No, we actually got a nice kick out of that.
Kelly, you did a great job. The one area, though, you didn't mention, and it was kind of interesting, if you're new to the Bermuda race, many times you pretty much look at the temperature and figure, well, that temperature is going to tell us when we're in the stream, it's going to tell us when you're eddy. You know, that's really not true. With those winds being so strong, coming from the, the southwest, and occasionally from the southeast, you're getting a lot of wind-driven water, which was considerably cooler than the stream temperatures. So when we were in that northern eddy, I never saw those high temperatures. You agree with that, right? And I said, don't worry about that. That's not an issue because we're experiencing that wind-driven water. How many of you guys had seen that throughout? Yeah, okay. So if you're new and you weren't aware that phenomena occurs, it's quite interesting.